journalists and editors that we bring on here to talk to you have seen the film in its entirety. And if you haven't, please let us know that. Just not that that doesn't keep somebody from being able to comment on it, but I think we just want to know going in. All right, so here's Joel Pollak. Joel, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Steve, and thank you, Rick, for being with us. The film is very well made, but obviously raises some interesting questions and has attracted some criticism. And I guess I want to start out by reading you a quote from this week on ABC, and I'll just read part of the quote, but it's talking about Bain Capital. And this person said, "Let's talk about Bain, and let's talk about what it was and what he, Mitt Romney, did. They closed down more than 1,000 plant stores and offices. They outsourced tens of thousands of jobs, and they took 12 companies to bankruptcy. And on those bankruptcies, he, Romney, and his partners made hundreds of millions of dollars. He's not a job creator, he's a corporate raider. Those aren't the values that we want to lead our economy." Now, that quote comes straight from David Axelrod, from President Obama's right-hand man. And I'd like to hear how a conservative like Newt Gingrich could echo the message of David Axelrod from the Obama White House.
Well, if David Axelrod went outside and said it was sunny, and it was sunny, and Newt Gingrich said it was sunny, then it's sunny. I think that what the attacks that would come from the left on Mitt Romney is for very different reasons. Take the Occupy Wall Street movement. I mean, they're a group of useful idiots that are apologists for the statists who hate capitalism. I don't hate capitalism, and certainly Newt Gingrich doesn't, and has a record of supporting capitalism. We are a great capitalistic society, the most successful in the world. We're 4% of the world's population. We're 25% of the world's wealth, and we create wealth by allowing people to be at their best, to be innovative and creative. And I think if most Americans think of capitalism in the sense that, Bernie Marcus we could build stores like Home Depot, or we could the Koch brothers, or Jack Welch at GE, or Fred Smith at FedEx, or Stephen Jobs at Apple. They start with nothing, they build a great product, and they offer value, and customers bless them with their cash to say, I would rather have that product than this cash. And if they continue to build products for cash, then that relationship continues. That is not what Mitt Romney did. Mitt Romney would target companies that had that would have assets that he could turn into liquid assets, including pensions, by the way. So let's take GS Steel in South Carolina. GS Steel, all those workers, their pensions were cut, and they sold off all the equipment, and then Mitt Romney and Bain Capital profited to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. Now, I'm not accusing you, I would say someone might defend that as free enterprise and capitalism, and it's certainly legal, but I would say it's unethical and it's immoral, and I'm not gonna defend it. That's not the kind of capitalism I would defend. But it's more than that. Mitt Romney ran on the fact that he is a job creator. That is at odds with the truth, and I think Axelrod's launch at Mitt Romney is instructive. I mean, if he can't sustain the attacks from our super PAC based on the truth, based on this film and the work that Jason Meath had done, then he certainly is not going to sustain the attacks against Barack Obama.
Hey, Joel, do you have a follow-up on that?
But you had a choice. You had a choice, though, of choosing how to attack Mitt Romney's record, and certainly conservatives have found much there to attack. And I'm just wondering why you went to attack from the left rather than attacking from the right.
How is it attacking
conservative criticism that have been leveled?
How is it attacking from the? How does it attacking from the left? It's not attacking from the left. I'm a free market capitalist. I'm a conservative. I'm simply pointing it out. And there's lots of ways to attack Mitt Romney. I mean, you have taxpayer-funded abortion in Massachusetts. You have gun control laws that he implemented in Massachusetts. He was very staunchly pro-life, pro-choice, and now he says he's staunchly pro-life. Every conservative utterance that Mitt Romney has seems to be followed by the word "trust me," because there are no deeds to back it up. He doesn't have a conservative legislative agenda to point to. He has no conservative record to point to. All he has is rhetoric to point to. And frankly, I don't trust his rhetoric on life. I don't trust it on marriage. I don't trust it on taxes. And I'm not going to take his word for it on Bain Capital. And if that's a vulnerability in his record, then he should explain it to us. We shouldn't, as conservative Republicans, say, let's not talk about that because, gee, the Obama administration might be listening. They already know all this.
All right, let's ask about a few of the facts that you stated there and that are in the film. You said that Mitt Romney destroyed more jobs than he created, and I don't know what the basis for that claim is, and I'd like to hear your response to the Wall Street Journal article today, which described Bain's history and spoke about how, while some of the firms, small, I think it was about a fifth of them, ended up in bankruptcy, many of them succeeded, and that, especially initially, Mitt Romney's interest was buying smaller firms and building them up, and that would seem to be the opposite of the case that the film makes.
Well, if you look at the Wall Street Journal, as you pointed out, that you'll note two figures. One is 92. That's the percent of deals that Mitt Romney and the boys at Bain made a profit from. 92. That's a darn good track record. I got to hand it to him. But if you add the 22% of the companies that went outright bankrupt, and then you add the 8% companies that subsequently went bankrupt, that's the 30%. So of the 77 businesses that Mitt Romney invested in, fully one-third of them, almost one-third of them, went bankrupt. I think that's a pretty poor track record. And look, I'm willing to say Mitt Romney made 100,000 jobs. I don't think they're American jobs. I think they're overseas jobs. But where's the evidence? I mean, we have to take him on his word that he created 100,000 jobs. He counts 86,000 of those as Staples jobs, and Staples was a success. But most of those jobs were created after he left. Now, he did make the initial investment in that, and that's fine, and some companies did survive. But the predatory behavior illustrated in these four examples that are case studies in the movie are only emblematic of most of the cases. This seemed to be Mitt Romney and his analytics targeting certain, mostly mom-and-pop local factories in local communities that were doing just fine until Mitt Romney showed up.
Well, okay, thank you, Joel. And we're going to get back to Joel, but I want to mix it up a little bit. We're going to go to Mike Flynn of BigGovernment.com in a minute. But I just want to take you up. As the host of the event, I'm going to use my privilege to interject questions here. You just said most of these were mom-and-pop companies and they were doing just fine. Let's take Smith Corona as one of them. It's not in the film, but you hear a lot about Smith Corona. There are people who write a lot of articles on the internet about how Bain Capital destroyed Smith Corona. Smith Corona, it's like somebody arguing that the horsewhip business went out of business because of that evil Henry Ford. Smith Corona is not in business anymore because nobody uses typewriters or adding machines anymore, and yet Mitt Romney is being blamed for that. So there are other sides to this story, aren't there? And can't you make the argument for, say, KB Toys in the film?
I'm not going to make the. I would like Mitt Romney to make the argument. He said that he's a job creator. There's questions about Bain Capital. Why doesn't he hold a press conference and explain it?
Don't you think it's true that when he says he's a job creator, more often than what I heard him talk about, I heard the talking point earlier today at a Romney event. When he talked about being a job creator, he talks about the jobs in the state of Massachusetts while he was the governor. It's not always going back 20 years to when he was at Bain Capital.
Well, one of the largest companies in New Hampshire today.
By the way, if that is actually true, that's a news item that should be reported, because that would be the first time. That means he's crafting his message around this film, quite frankly. He's never, ever said jobs created in Massachusetts.
No, I'm sorry, Steve. He often says, as governor of Massachusetts, we created more jobs than the Barack Obama administration has his entire presidency.
But his basic thesis has been the job created.
Not I created them personally when I was in charge of Bain Capital.
Mitt Romney created more jobs in New Hampshire than he did in Massachusetts while he was governor of Massachusetts.
With Brookstone.
And Fidelity. And that's why maybe the folks in New Hampshire are so grateful.